Love doesn't end because there's no feeling left. It stalls because someone starts forcing it. And the problem is that when this happens, the instinctive reaction is always the worst possible. You try harder, explain more, give more of yourself. But there's a simple and deeply uncomfortable Taoist rule that shows the opposite. The more you try to hold on to someone, the less love can flow. And if you ignore this rule, no matter how much you care, you only create resistance. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why Taoism says that love is not rebuilt with effort, but with the removal of the wrong force. Psychologically, excessive emotional effort communicates something very clear. Even without words, I need you to choose me so that I can be okay. This creates imbalance. And where there is imbalance, there is no attraction, there is weight. Taoism says that anything that is too heavy sinks. The mind says, if I show how much I care, it will work. If I explain it better, he or she will understand. If I try a little harder, everything will go back to normal. But Taoism observes something deeper. What needs to be persuaded is no longer flowing. Flow does not require proof. Flow just happens. Here is the Taoist rule, in simple terms. Stop trying to move the other person. Start removing the force that is blocking the flow. This means less explanation, less justification, less attempt at emotional control. It's not coldness, it's alignment. When you let go of force, anxiety decreases, communication becomes clearer, the other person feels space. Not pressure and space is where desire breathes. Taoism teaches that everything that lives needs space to move. Love is no exception, because attachment creates abstinence. When you stop forcing, the ego panics. The mind says, am I giving up? Am I losing power? What if this is the end? But Taoism makes a crucial distinction. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is stopping fighting reality. And only when you stop fighting can the flow return. Here is the Taoist paradox. The less you try to make love happen, the more space you create for it to happen naturally. This does not guarantee that someone will come back, but it guarantees something more important: you come back to yourself, and that, in itself, restores balance. In Taoism, nothing that flows is grasped. Nothing that is true needs to be forced. If love returns, it returns because there is alignment. If it doesn't return, you haven't lost yourself trying to hold on to it. This is the rule that few accept, but it always works. When you stop pushing, observe. What was confusing begins to reveal itself. What was stuck shows whether it still wants to flow. The Tao never forces, and everything that is real eventually finds its way. When you stop pushing, observe. Don't observe the other person. Observe what happens inside you. At first, a void arises. The mind wants to fill that space with messages, explanations, memories. That impulse is attachment trying to regain control. Resist it. In Taoism, emptiness is not absence. It is potential. When force ceases, reality begins to show itself without distortion. What was confusing begins to reveal itself because you are no longer interfering. What was stuck shows whether it still wants to flow because it is not being pressured to stay. This is the scary part, but it is also liberating. If there is a real connection, it finds a new path. Not the same as before, cleaner, more honest. If there isn't, something equally important happens. You stop losing yourself trying to sustain alone what requires two. The Tao never forces, because everything that needs to be forced is already out of alignment. The tree grows without convincing the sky. The river flows without negotiating with the shore. Love that flows follows the same law. When you remove force, you don't manipulate the outcome. You reveal the truth. And the truth, even when it hurts, is always lighter than the anxiety of trying to control. Everything that is real eventually finds its way because it does not depend on your constant vigilance. It depends only on space. When you stop pushing, you give that space back to the flow. And for the first time, love ceases to be something you try to hold on to and becomes something you allow to happen. If this teaching has found you, it is no coincidence. In Tao, nothing is forced. The right things simply fall into place when we are ready to hear them. By signing up, you are not following a channel. You are choosing to walk with more clarity, less attachment, and more presence.